So here's a few things that no one's talking about that you have to be aware of as a trader or investor right now. And I am shocked that there's really not more conversations around this. Actually, you know what? I'm not that shocked. But I do want to say before we talk about that, if you didn't watch the weekly report yesterday, I would check that out because there's still a lot of setups that didn't trigger. Today was a very chopped day. It was really tough for options, but it was really great for futures traders. We actually had one of our new students pass his first futures account today trading with us. And the only options trade that hit today was NVIDIA. We had the trigger at the all-time high. It had some chop, but defended well. And then we got a nice print to the closed 25%, and then contracts were worth 45% into the close, took some partials along the way as it melted up, and then swung the rest of the position because the trend looks strong. It's definitely relative strong to the rest of the market. So we'll continue to play it. Bitcoin also is doing a bit of selling here, but the structure overall still looks really good to me. So it's not anything that I'm concerned about yet. I'm still really bullish on Bitcoin into the end of the year. Even though we are kind of seeing it do a bit of a retracement back into this wider structure we saw it break out of. That's fine for now. But obviously, if we kind of give up like this 65, then I might start to pull back on some of my shorter term positions. But I'm fine leaving the longer term positions, even if it starts to pull back more. Of course, always control your risk, So the thing that no one's paying attention to, actually, the two main things, well, actually, three things now that I think about it. The first one's pretty obvious. Most people are talking about this, but I think lots of people forget on the week to week. We are rapidly approaching a pretty major election that a lot of people have fears around. If one candidate decides that they don't like the verdict, are they going to throw a fit and cause some greater conflict? And I'm trying to pitch this in the most apolitical way possible because I just prefer you guys don't know my biases. And I would like to just remind you that this does cause volatility in the market. The uncertainty, the clarification could cause a major move in either direction right now. And I say this apolitically, the markets are clearly pricing in a Trump victory. And it'll be interesting. Betting markets as well. There could be some bias built into that. Betting markets, mostly men, might be more inclined to vote for a man. Betting markets also, lots of people are keeping track of, whatever you're gambling with, expectations on, some sort of crypto app or Kyoshi, I think is what it's called. Keep in mind that those can be, it's not hard to manipulate those. For one guy to just bet big on a certain outcome and really manipulate the market. So keep all that in mind. When you're looking over those betting markets, they're not very liquid. Manipulation is rampant in those conditions. The other thing that no one's really talking about, but is really important, is going to be the health of the dollar right now, which is rapidly rising. Now, I know you might look at this if you weren't very familiar, and you might say, well, it's not that high. Like, we've seen it go higher. It went higher in 2022. And some of you might not remember. You might be newer to the channel. But basically, during this period, there was this idea of the dollar wrecking ball. Okay? Dollar wrecking ball. A rapidly rising dollar can be a wrecking ball on financial markets and the global economy, and there are concerns whenever the velocity picks up, right? So even though this might not seem like a very high price, and I know some people are confused when I talk about this in the Discord, it's the velocity at which it moves that can become a concern to the market. And I mean, we kind of saw that play out, in my opinion, today on the index, where you can see that DXY is basically the inverse of the morning moves on SPY before the market started to relax a bit and kind of decide that it wasn't a concern at the moment. And the greater factors like excitement over NVIDIA finally took over as it started to confirm on the all-time break. By the way, this is like the weakest all-time break I've ever seen in my life. That's exaggerative, but it was just such a boring day today. And the last thing that I want to talk about is ASML. Now that I've had time to kind of look over this earnings report, I do want to give some small commentary on this. We had a 15% drop on this company just by slightly lowering their guidance. It wasn't that bad at all. And it's important to remember that although this does have a role in AI infrastructure, it isn't as key as some companies. This small company from the Netherlands isn't as integral as something like NVIDIA or AMD or TSM. Yet it had a huge effect on the broader market and AI infrastructure. And that I feel like that was a canary in the coal mine, to just see this small break in guidance cause a ripple effect throughout the market. I mean, this is literally a 15% shave off the company's market cap. And as you can see, it continued to be suppressed. There's no V-shaped recovery that's played out since, which I feel like is a warning sign that we don't need NVIDIA to meet expectations or continue to perform great. NVIDIA needs to continue to smash expectations. The expectation for this company is that it beats expectations. So anything in line, anything that's pretty good or even great might not be enough. And if it's bad, it could be horrific for price action in the broader market. So watch this earnings season, and maybe into some of these more major earnings reports, NVIDIA, TSM, AMD, you use that as an opportunity to maybe set up some hedges or to take off some risk and maybe lower your allocations, and just be aware that that could be something to be worried about. There's not really any broader signs in the market to suggest that there'd be any like recessionary signs or that the market would turn over. It's all about the expectations, right? And if the expectations are disinflated, where it's like you can't just do well, you can't even just do great, you have to be all of our expectations, you have to outperform what we expect, which is already great. That's not really a position you want to be put in, especially if you're management at this company. It's a big ask from the market, and it's shown that it can be really punishing if you don't have this outstanding performance, because then people start second guessing themselves on what the ceiling is for this. So keep that in mind, and as always, God bless.